you sign those orders? Everybody sign? Okay. All right. Janine, are you ready?
Yes, we are, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the meeting of May 25th, 2023 at the Commission Chambers. If you have your cell phones, please turn them off or silent, please. Roll call of officers, please.
Commissioner Underwood,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear it. Present.
Commissioner Montañez,
Present.
Commissioner Lear, Commissioner Jimenez,
Here.
Commissioner Castañeda,
Here.
Vice Chair Zerniak,
Here.
Chair Acosta.
Present. Okay, item number 2, approval or changes to the agenda. The chair entertains a motion, Commissioners.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. It's second. Any discussion on the motion? No discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Ayes have it. Item number 3, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of May 11, 2023. The chairman entertains a motion.
Move to approve the minutes.
All right. Any second?
Second.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
I apologize. Commissioner Menace.
go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, there were 2 of us who voted in abstention, so we do need to make a change to that. Not all commissioners voted in the affirmative.
Okay, thank you for that. Did you record that? Okay. A second on the motion. Do I hear a second on the motion?
Yes.
Yeah, Linda.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Chair, Mario, which case was that?
It wasn't for the case, it was for the minutes in whole,
Oh, okay.
for the meeting that the 2 of us were not present
Okay.
for.
Any discussion on the motion? No discussion. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, all the ayes have it. Anybody opposed to that? No, all right. Item number 4, old business. Janine?
No old business, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry.
Okay. Item number 5, new business. Case number Z 23-005. A request submitted by Victor Acosta, applicant for Sandra Ann Garvey. For the commission, and for disclosure, Victor and I are first cousins. And there has been no financial interest between Victor and myself. Victor has recently passed away. And I leave it up to the commission. If you want me to just recuse myself, I will do so. So I'm gonna go and do a vote on that, okay? So if you want me to recuse myself, all those signify by saying aye. Okay, so I will remain. And I also have another request, and I also have another first cousin. And as we go along, I will also, we'll talk about that in a letter when his case comes up. Just remember, we're a very close-knit community, right? And we're related somehow, so bear with us. But for transparency, I would like to keep everything transparent to the public and to the commissioners, that there's, that everything is done correctly as transparency from my end of it and the rest of the commissioners, okay? Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
just for the record, Mel and I aren't first cousins.
I can see the resemblance.
Well, we have a lot of fun here. It's really serious, but we have a lot of fun. It's a very interesting job that we do. We try to keep we try to accommodate the petitioner's interest and their land use, and make sure that that staff guides them in the right direction so that they will be able to get their request heard. And so this commission, Dr. Zerniak and my friend here, he and Mr. Underwood, we've known each other for many, many years, so bear with us. We try to do the best that we can. Thank you so much. Okay, Albert, you ready?
Good morning. Please raise your right hand and state your name and address for the record.
Albert Casillas, 845 North Motel Boulevard.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth under penalty of law?
I do.
Thank you.
Before you start, Albert, anybody that's going to be in favor or in opposition to any of our cases, you need to sign in that you're going to be in favor or opposed to the case coming before us. But at the same time, we have to also swear you in for your comments and your testimony. Okay, thank you, Albert. Proceed.
Good to have you back, Eileen.
Good morning, Commissioners. For our first case today, we have a zone change request by the property owner being Sandra Ann Garvey, and Mr. Acosta was the applicant. This property is located on East Joy Avenue. They're in Anthony, New Mexico. It's the zoning is T2. Currently, it's a 3-acre parcel, and the request is to go from a T2 to a T3 zoning district in order to subdivide the property into 2 lots. On the location map here, this is Anthony Drive, and we basically have East Joy Drive right here, which is paved. It is county maintained. The right-of-way, you know, there's different widths, but you know, it's about 60 feet. And this is the subject parcel right here. Here is the aerial of the subject parcel, but this is just a 2018 aerial. We can see that the East Joy is paved. You can kind of look at the manholes that are there, so sewer is available on this property. Sewer's been available since about 2007. I think that's when we went in there and added some additional lines. When we look at the zoning map, for the most part, everything's residential. You know, there might be some grandfathered in industrial uses, but for the most part, the zoning out there is still mostly residential. You got the T2 here, which is basically says that if you're in a subdivision, you're only allowed to go down to 2-acre minimums. The T3 allows you to go down to 3/4 of an acre if you're on septic, 6,000 square feet if you're actually in sewer. The orange here or reddish color, it's a DM, which is basically for a mobile home park. So a description of the property, you know, I already stated that they want to go from a T2 to a T3 to create those 2 lots. They're proposing about 1.5 acres, so they're basically just going down the middle of the property, which would put them under the minimum lot size of 2 acres that's required currently under the T2. It is county maintained right-of-way. Water and sewer will be provided by Lower Rio Grande Public Water Works Authority. And just a little bit of history for this parcel. How did it end up being a 3-acre parcel? Well, you know, they went through a claim of exemption back in 2020. Before we did amendment number 2, you were still able to do claim of exemptions on platted subdivisions. So they were able to go back and create basically this tract over here, which is a little bit more than 1 acre. So back then, you know, they were able to create that tract, and now that they want to do another split because they're within the Montana Vista subdivision, they're not able to apply for a claim of exemption, which would allow them to go down to their desired lot size. You know, right now they're only allowed to go down to 2 acres, so they got to get that zone change in order for them to split it at 1.5 acres. So basically, after the amendments were adopted, you know, you can't do any more claim of exemptions on platted subdivisions. And of course, before the UDC was adopted, this was, it had a performance district designation. So here's basically a survey of what's being proposed. We see the 3 acres right here. They're basically just drawing down a line down the middle of the property. They're going to be about 1.48, 1.49 acre parcels. And that's an aerial photo of the surrounding areas. On the property that's immediately to the left, right here, there's 2 mobile homes. When you look at the surrounding areas, a lot of the properties are vacant, but the ones that are occupied, there's typically about maybe 1 or 2 mobile homes. This property right here, years ago when we were still under the old Chapter 250 land use code, they did get approval for a high intensity residential use, which basically allowed them to put four homes on that property. And they did have to come before the Planning and Zoning Commission. When we're looking at the property itself, that's a picture of East Joy Drive. We're looking west. When we're looking back towards Anthony Drive, that's basically what it looks like. I'm standing right in front of the property right here. So the property would be over here to the north, or to the left right here. The subject parcels, that's basically what's on the property right now. If you look at the case analysis, there are some comments from codes, from zoning codes. When they were out there, they basically noticed that there were 2 RVs on the property, one of them being hooked up to electricity. So I'll address that towards the end of my presentation under staff findings. But that's basically what's on the property right now. Here's another view of what's there. And then that's just the other half of the property. Surrounding areas, this is looking straight, across East Joy Drive. This is a property that I mentioned before that had applied for a high residential use, but basically allowing them to have 4 homes on their 2-acre lot. When we look at zone changes, these are the sections of the code that we got to look at when evaluating the requirements. For notification requirements, 21 letters were sent out. Legal ads were placed on the Sun News. Signs were posted on the property. The agenda was posted on the county website. No letters in opposition or in favor were received. Here is one of the signs that was posted on the property. And those were the properties that were notified. When we look at the evaluation or decision of criteria, they're only proposing 2 lots, being 1.47 and 1.49. They're only adding 2 additional lots, so there's no large impact to existing population or demographics. Traffic flows are going to be minimal. They're still going to require a driveway permit from county engineering. So the zone change will allow the property owner to subdivide the property into smaller lots that are consistent with some of the surrounding properties. And basically, it just allows them to have a little bit more of affordable housing options to the owner's family member. So the purpose of the split is to give the property owner's daughter her portion of the property. Water will be provided by Lower Rio Grande Water as well as sewer. So we don't believe that there's going to be any impacts to the existing infrastructure capacities in the area. There's no evidence of any endangered or rare species of animal and plant life in the area. We don't, well, when it comes to best practices, the applicant states that they're going to be using those best practices during construction of the summary subdivision itself or a building or mobile home permitting process. So we do believe that the request meets that decisional criteria for zone changes. We don't think it's in any major conflict with the comprehensive plan. We do believe that it meets some of the following goals and actions that are included in the plan. We can look at goal G 2.2, ensure regulations support the plan requirements. Also, action A 2.2, preserve existing neighborhoods' character. There's goals in here about providing affordable housing to the residents of Doña County. There's an action in there about providing housing units or an additional 23,000 housing units. And I know we're only talking about 2 lots here, but those goals are in there, included in our plan. Change of conditions. When addressing the need to cover and perfect, whether a previous defective ordinance or to correct mistakes or injustices. Like I said before, the T2 only allows for a 2-acre minimum lot size. If this was not in a subdivision, the applicant, would have been able to apply for that claim of exemption process, which would allow them to go down to 3/4 of an acre. We know they're proposing 1.5 acres. The acreage of many of the surrounding parcels are less than what the applicant is requesting. Most of them are about 1 acre, a little bit more than that. There are a few 2-acre lots. Sewer has been available since at least 2007 in that area, or at least for this property. The difference between T2 and T3, other than the lot sizes, they're pretty much similar. They're still residential. You can still have mobile homes. You can still have double wides or build a house. To some degree, they still allow for accessory dwellings on both zoning lots, so there's really not much of a difference. It's not an ag use right now, so that that really doesn't play into it whether or not how the property is being assessed. So far, our findings, which are included in your packet as well, we do believe that the zone change request for T3 does satisfy the decisional criteria. Like I said it below, it's the T2, and because they're in a recorded subdivision, they're only allowed to go down to 2 acres. If they weren't, then they would have been able to go down to 3/4 of an acre. There is compatible existing residential development and zoning designations, and it is reasonably necessary to protect the public interest in providing housing options. East Joy is paved, and there is sewer available on for the property. We don't consider the request to be a spot zone. Like I said before, we saw the zoning map. There's just pretty much T3 all around. And it's also going to be a benefit to the community by increasing the availability of housing needed in the Anthony community. We don't believe it's in significant conflict with the comprehensive plan as well, and then it does meet those goals and actions that are outlined here. So based on the findings of fact and our analysis, comments received, we are recommending conditional approval of this case to go from a T2 to a T3 in order to create the 2 lots. The condition being, and this is addressing the comments received from codes, it's that the RV shall not be used as a dwelling and shall not be hooked up to electricity. I did talk with the daughter of the property owner, which is the one who's going to be receiving that that one of the 1/2-acre lots. So when she was working with Mr. Acosta, the idea was for them to have the zone change approved, go through the summary subdivision, so she would have title of her 1/2-acre lot and be able to get a loan to be able to install all the services that were required. So I told her that, well, in reality, you don't really need to subdivide the property to apply for a mobile home permit. But she said she wasn't unaware of that. She thought that she had to be the owner in order to apply for the mobile home permit. I do have the property owner here, Ms. Sandra Garvey, but that's the end of our presentation, and we do stand for questions.
Albert, can you go back to the zoning map for a minute? what's this parcel at the front of the property that runs the entire length?
This right here,
Yeah, what is that?
it's just right away. I don't know why it's showing as a T2, but it's basically additional right away that was obtained when they had to go through that claim of exemption.
So is that controlled by the county?
I believe it is.
Okay, and are you saying that because there's T3 all around this, that T2 is an incorrect zoning? And that's one of the reasons for the, or one of the justifications?
One of the justifications, but mostly to address the spot zoning criteria.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Commissioners, any questions of staff? Commissioner Underwood? No.
No comments.
Is Ms. Garvey here?
Yes, she is.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We're going to have to request that you raise your right hand to swear you in.
Good morning. Please state your name and address for the record.
Sandra Garvey, 407 Lucky Street, Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, 87901.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth under penalty of law? Thank you.
And Ms. Garvey, please step forward so we can hear you on the microphone there. Thank you so much.
Yes? Can you hear me?
You look at me, I look at you. Any statements that you would like to make?
No, I had a question about the easement in front of the property, why it's so big. Do you know anything
Albert?
about that?
Like I said it before, I think it had to do with the original claim of exemption that was requested. Typically, when there's subdivision proposals, whether it's through a summary subdivision, a regular subdivision, or a claim of exemption, they go out for review. And if they're next to a county-maintained road, some of the comments from engineering or other reviewing agencies might be that they need additional right-of-way for future road improvements, road expansions, that kind of stuff. So, without really knowing, what the details were of that specific case, that's probably the main reason why I think that right-of-way was there. When you go out to the property, you can see where there's like a fence right next to the road, but how the applicants themselves, they've left that space already there, and that's where you guys have a fence right now too. So, but that would be my guess on why that right-of-way is there, because they went through a split, and additional right-of-way was required by one of the reviewing agencies.
Did that answer your question, Ms. Garvey?
No, I kind of, not really. So that's county property, or? I didn't understand.
Yeah, right now, it's set aside for any future road improvements.
20 feet of what?
Road improvements.
Oh, okay. I see.
Mr. Chair, just
Yes,
a
go
question. So at the time of the claim of exemption, would there be a new survey necessary, or just any kind of ILR or anything that gives the applicant, or was this your property whenever the claim of exemption was done?
Yeah, no, the claim of exemption does require a legal description and a survey as well.
Thank you. I mean, I already knew the answer, but I just wanted to make sure that the applicant had been made aware, made aware of this easement and the size of the easement. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions, Ms. Garvey, of
I
staff?
do have a question. Would I be able to put a driving well in there for irrigation on my parcel?
Chair, Ms. Harvey, so if you're going to put in a well in there, you would have to go through the state engineer's office. They would be the ones that would permit,
Oh, okay.
all the wells.
Okay. And when will I know if this is going to be okay?
in a few minutes.
Oh, okay. So we've been working on it for a few years now. And I guess that's all. Just had a question about the well and the easement. If I was to sell the property, do you know, do I have to wait so many years or my piece?
If you were to sell your piece, no. If the zone change gets approved, you know, your next step is to apply for a summary subdivision. And typically, there's no time limits
There's no waiting
associated with
period.
that.
Okay. I guess I'm done.
And any other further comments or questions?
No, not that I
Okay.
can think of.
All right, well, thank you so much for
Thank you.
being here with us.
No, Chair, I also
yes.
want to make you aware that David Acosta, the surveyor of record for this zone change and possibly summary subdivision is here. I don't know if you guys, if he wants to come up and give a little statement.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Acosta, we're going to ask you to raise your right hand, and we're going to swear you in.
Good morning. Please state your name and address for the record.
David Acosta, 2860 Maddox Loop, Las Cruces, New Mexico, 88011.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth under penalty of law?
Yes.
Thank you.
And a point of disclosure, Mr. Acosta is also a nephew. So I thought I would make sure that we have that as a point of disclosure. Thank you very much, Mr. Acosta, for attending. Anything that you would like to ask the commission or staff, please do so.
Okay, the representer, you know, originally was submitted by my cousin, Victor Acosta, who unfortunately, you know, I passed a couple weeks ago. So, you know, I was kind of filling in for him to come. He was spearheading this initiative to begin with to help Sandra, and I was providing the survey for him, and that's kind of how we were working with this deal. But, you know, I'm here today to answer any questions for you all. On my end, I don't have any questions. I can get with Sandra on a few of her questions that she had and kind of share my experience with, you know, the right-of-ways that they create. Sort of a sawtooth is what I've heard it referred to as, because as the county does development projects, they're going to take a little bit of right-of-way, and then eventually you would have a nice right-of-way there. And that road being pretty fairly often traveled might, you know, that might benefit it down the road. I can see that. But overall, I think everything's pretty straightforward as far as the survey goes, and I don't see any complications on my end.
Any questions of Mr. Acosta, commissioners? No? Okay, thank you so much for
Yeah.
your testimony. Thank
Yes, sir. Thank you all.
And again, let me point this out. The Acosta family is a very big family in this county and in other counties, so bear with us. Thank you so much. I guess we're going to have to just close this to, any questions of staff before we proceed? Okay, anybody for or in favor of or not in favor of this zone change in the gallery? Is anybody out there? Okay, well, I'm going to close that off to the gallery. Okay, commissioners. Any discussion? More discussion? Okay, the chair entertains a motion.
Mr. Chair, I recommend, or excuse me, I make a motion based on findings of fact, staff analysis, and comments given today. I make a motion for approval of case number Z23-005 from a T2 zone to a T3 with the following staff recommended condition that an RV shall not be used as a dwelling and shall not be hooked up to electricity.
Okay, I hear a second. Does
Second that motion.
Did you have something to say, Janine? No? Okay. Does everybody understand the motion? Okay. And the chair entertains a second?
Yeah, you got it.
All right. Any discussion on the motion? No discussion on the motion. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Underwood,
Yes.
Commissioner Montañez,
Yes.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes.
Commissioner Castañeda,
Yes.
Vice Chair Zerniak,
Aye.
Chair Acosta.
Yes. Okay. If you have any questions of staff, Ms. Garvey, before you leave, please ask them. Okay. All right. Okay. Case number Z 23006 is,
Good morning, Commissioners,
Good morning.
Chair. Good morning.
Please raise your right hand and state your name and address for the record.
Charlene Santisteban, 845 North Milltown Boulevard.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth under penalty of law?
Yes.
Thank you.
and before you start, is Mr. Solopek here?
No, they aren't here.
He's not?
No, neither is Mr. Scanlon.
Okay. And Mr. Scanlon is not here either, so,
No.
okay.
This case is a zoning change case at Z 23006. The owner is Greg Solopek and Ted Scanlon is the agent. It's at 103 Watson Lane, south of Las Cruces. They want a zone change from a D2 medium-density residential to an I1 light industrial. The zone change on a 0.5 acre parcel from a D2 to an I1 is to create homogeneous zoning to correct an island of a residential zone totally surrounded by an industrial zone. This is the location map. This is an aerial photo of the property. The applicant is requesting a zone change for a parcel zoned as D2 to lot I1. The D2 is a subordinate zoning classification and is totally surrounded by I1. The request is to remedy a spot zone, which is an island in an I1. The property is located at 103 Watson Lane. Prior to 2008, the property was zoned ER4M and was used as a mobile home park. In 2008, Ron Duran received a zone change to EI1 for a contractor's yard surrounding the 0.5 acre single-family dwelling. And the existing property remained an island of subordinate residential zoning. Mr. Solopek acquired the property on October 23rd, 2014, and a demolition permit was issued for the house in 2015. The reconfiguration of Highway 478 and Watson Lane intersection rendered the area more conducive to commercial industrial uses in 2005. In 2021, the property across the street was rezoned to C2. It's a zoning map. This is the land use aerial. And this is Watson Lane, the realignment of Watson Lane. They created that interchange, that intersection there between Highway 478 and Watson Lane. And this is another picture of the street facing east. And another one from the edge of the property to Watson Lane. This is the subject property facing south. And this is the remaining floor slab that's on the property after the demolition of the home. This is the C2 property across from, it's facing north. This is east, and it's New Mexico Pecan Company. And this is the subject property facing southwest. The zone change evaluation requirements are duties of the Planning and Zoning Commission, general notice requirements, zone changes, decisional criteria. 18 letters of notification were mailed to property owners within a 300-foot buffer on May 1st, 2023. Legal ads were placed in Las Cruces Sun News on May 3rd, 2023. Signs were posted on the property in a timely manner and agenda posted on the DAC website. These are the notification signs on the property. And this is the area of notification map. The decisional criteria: potential homes, a number of homes, none. Population change, none. Demographics, no change. Potential traffic flows at build out, no large impact to traffic flows is anticipated. Need for new commercial and residential activity: the zone change will allow the property to be consistent with surrounding property zoned I-1. Water and sewer is installed on the property. There is sufficient infrastructure capacity for the proposed use. The environmental sensitive areas, it's NA. It's been used before for a mobile home park. The impacts of a proposed zone on surrounding properties: the property is entirely surrounded by I-1. The applicant states they will be using best practices, best management on the property. The cost of the land: there's no cost for consideration of the zone change. The applicant is requesting a zone change congruent with existing industrial zoning surrounding the residential zone property. The owner wants to utilize the parcel for industrial use to be homogeneous with the surrounding industrial zone land. Prior to this request, there was a single-family dwelling on the parcel and has been demolished. The comprehensive plan: the G 5.2 support industry and transportation options. The railroad is right next to it, so it's conducive for that use. And assign industrial sites near transportation choices. So there's major highway there and an intersection of a major highway and the railroad. G 6.2 maximize the value added to agricultural production. Since it's New Mexico Pecan Company, it's the land is used for that purpose. And action 6.2 facilitate agricultural processing enterprises livability principle. Number 1, enhance economic competitiveness, coordinate policies and investments, support existing communities. The Miller criteria: currently the D2 zone only allows for residential development. The property is surrounded by I-1 zoned parcels and the residential dwelling has been demolished. The zone change is appropriate as there is compatible existing industrial development and zoning designation that is reasonably necessary to protect the public interest, protected by consistency as an island of D2 to be compatible with surrounding I-1. The requested zone change is not in conflict with the comprehensive plan or any other adopted plans. The decisional criteria: failure to change the zone district would deprive the owner of some economically feasible and similar use of the property to existing surrounding compatible development. Since D2 zoning is an island surrounded by I-1, there is evidence of a change or mistake in the zoning map. If the zone change is not approved, the applicant could build a single-family residence surrounded by industrial use property, thus creating a non-compatible use of the property. There's no capital expenditure, and the proposed zone change justification for industrial use is dependent on the location of a collector and a major thoroughfare, which is demonstrated by 478 and Watson Lane. This is not strip zoning, and it's not spot zoning. In fact, this case will be to eliminate a spot zone in an I-1 zone. The findings: the property is outside of any incorporated municipal zoning authority, is within Doña County, and the Planning and Zoning Commission has jurisdiction to review this case. The request of the application is consistent with the requirements of the UDC. The zone change request for I-1 does satisfy decisional criteria for a zone change. The zone change is appropriate as there is compatible existing industrial development. The zone change to I-1 zoning district would not be considered spot zone, as the proposed zone change is in harmony with the surrounding area. The size of the development is appropriate for the area, and there would be benefit to the community by increasing the agricultural processing purposes and then eliminate the island of D1 zone, D2 zoning. The zone change is not in significant conflict with the comprehensive plan. Based on the findings of fact, staff analysis, and agency comments, staff recommends approval of case Z23006, a zone change on a 0.5 acre parcel from D2 to I-1 district to have consistent zoning that surrounds the property and expand agricultural land use and eliminates the residential island considered spot zoning. This concludes my presentation.
Does that conclude your presentation?
Yes, it does.
Staff, commissioners, any questions of staff?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So can you go back one slide? So you say the zone change will not be in significant conflict with the comp plan. Are you saying that there is conflict?
No, there is not conflict. That's wrong. Will not be in significant conflict with the comprehensive plan.
So you're saying it's in accordance with the comp plan?
Yes,
Okay. That's just a wording thing, but it's.
yes, it's a strange wording.
So the other question I have, I think was this case brought by the applicant to the county?
By Ted Scanlon, the agent.
So if the county agrees that there was a mistake, doesn't it become incumbent on the county to request the change and not charge Scanlon or the owner for that?
I have to defer that to Janine or Albert.
I mean, once the change mistake rule kicks in, then it's the responsibility of the county to fix it, not the applicant, as I see it.
Yes, Mr. Chair. What we did when we transferred over from the ETZ to the UDC was we just copied the zoning as it was. And you are correct, we do have two sections in the UDC that mentions the mistake rule.
Plus the Miller criteria.
Yeah, that is the Miller criteria, and then we do have a separate section that addresses it if the county determines it's a mistake. But the applicant came forward, so therefore we just processed the application.
Okay. I'm not going to make the issue. I think we should watch that more carefully, though.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
As a point of concern for me, ingress and egress to that property there on Watson Lane, we didn't hear anything from engineering. It said nothing from engineering.
No, I conversed with Mr. Molina to see when that interchange was done, and he said it was way back, the reconfiguration done, and that's why the zone changes have come about, because of the reconfiguration and widening that section of going into Watson Lane.
And the reason for the concern I have is it just appears to me that Watson Lane is a very narrow, just barely legal road.
Yes, but this is at the entrance of Watson Lane, and that it's widened enough for trucks to go in and out. Watson Lane beyond that point is very, very narrow. And
is
it's a
it county
50-foot
maintained-
right-of-way.
Is it a county-maintained road, or is it a
Yes,
state
it
road?
is.
County-maintained?
Yes.
Because there's no shoulder on that road at all.
No, it isn't. It's a farm road.
I wish the applicant would have been here, so we could have asked him the type of equipment, farm equipment could be very large, it could be very small.
Right. It's in association with the New Mexico Pecan Company. And when I was out there, they had agricultural stuff on the slab, which was emptied fertilizer containers that were on the slab on wheels.
Because right there on building number 9, I believe, right? There's an entrance to that processing plant there, right?
Yes, there is. It's a paved entrance to go into that processing plant.
So their point of ingress and egress is going to be that dividing line there between item number 1 and 9, right?
Let me go back to that.
Is that the way they're going to enter and exit?
Okay.
Because already there's equipment that is accessed there, that's already placed there, as far as I'm concerned.
If you look on number 9, that road is all paved all the way down onto the 2 parcels that are there, that are zoned I-1. It's all paved all the way in, and it's a pretty wide pavement. And they can probably go into and make another entrance on the property to the I-1 zoning that's already on the property.
In other words, that entrance on number, what is it, 7? It's too small for me to read, or 1, whatever, 1.
It's number
They're not
7.
going to enter and exit there, right?
I imagine, well, that was an entrance there when they had the mobile home park and the home was there. They had an entrance already
Right.
at that property. So, it was a large, on both sides of that Watson Lane, there were both mobile home parks that have now been
The
done
reason
away
why I'm
with.
asking this question is because the meander on that road, going east, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a radical turn going, facing the railroad track on north and south Texas, right? The railroad, Santa Fe?
That's where they have widened it quite a bit to accommodate large trucks, from what I could see. And the property that they already own, the New Mexico Pecan Company, they can turn, I'm sure they can turn there because they've made it really wide and made it with the paved entrance that's nice for trucks to be able to back up and turn around.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to.
Yes, go ahead.
To mention, if it's, I don't believe that there would be any additional access points necessary, that they would be using the New Mexico Pecan access points, unless I didn't see it noted in their application, but I just wanted to mention that for the record.
Yes, and the DOT had no problem with it either, and neither did engineering. They said it was fine.
Yes, because that road is a concern, but I do not believe that they're actually going to be using it.
Well, if
as an
DOT
access point.
didn't have a concern with it, then it's just for the record, right?
Right.
Okay. All right. Any questions of staff, commissioners?
Mr. Chair, we're trying to get the applicant to call in, or the applicant's representative. Ted is apparently at a doctor's an appointment, so we're trying to get Steve Peel.
Is that Mr. Scanlon?
Yes.
Hi, yes, this is Steve Peel. I'm with Ted Scanlon. Ted had a medical appointment this morning that he couldn't miss. It was very important, so I'm a little familiar with the project, not very much, but I can pretty much answer some basic questions.
Can we go ahead and swear you in?
Sure.
So, can you please state your name and address for the record?
Sure. Steve Peel, and I am at 2990 North Main Street, Suite 3C.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth under penalty of law?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any question, commissioners, of the person representing Mr. Ted Scanlon? No questions? Thank you very much for attending.
Well, thank you for doing this on such a short notice. We appreciate it. My apologies that Ted wasn't, like I said, he had a very important medical appointment that he couldn't miss. So.
Well, thank you very much for attending.
You're welcome.
All right,
Anything else? Questions?
any questions? No questions?
Okay.
All right.
Well, that was painless.
Well, one question is kind of a question in pun. We always, Dickie Salopek, we always address that. Are you the Salopeks from the north or the Salopeks from the south, right?
That I am not sure of.
It's a derogatory question. You don't have to answer.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I hope that Dickie Salopek is listening, okay? Anyway, all right, anybody present for or against this case in front of us? Nobody there? Okay, we're gonna close it to the gallery.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
I'm going to move to approve case number Z23-006 based on findings of fact, staff analysis, agency comments, and the change mistake rule.
okay, we have a motion on the floor. Anybody second that?
A second, Mr. Chair.
Motion's been second. Any discussion on the motion? No discussion. Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Montañez,
Yes.
Commissioner Underwood,
Yes.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes.
Commissioner Castañeda,
Yes.
Vice Chair Zerniak,
Yes.
Chair Acosta.
Yes. Okay. On to case number Z23-008. Albert. And again, a point of discussion here and a point of disclosure. Mr. Acosta is here representing Crop Production Services, and he's also my first cousin. And if you'd like for me to recuse myself, I'll leave it up to the commission. So is that okay if I proceed forward? Okay. And by the way, he and I have no financial interest on any of that. So thank you so much. All right, go
Okay.
ahead, Albert.
Good morning. Please state your name and address for the record.
Albert Casillas, 845 North Motel Boulevard.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth under penalty of law?
I do.
Thank you.
Commissioners, for our last case today, we do have another zone change request, applicant being Paul Johnson, and the property owner right now being Crop Production Services. This property is located on 1025 BB Romick Drive, northwest of the village of Hatch, New Mexico. The zoning right now is a T2 rural zone. The request today is to go from T2 to an I3 heavy industrial zoning district in order to allow agricultural packaging, warehousing, and a fertilizer plant on 5 acres.
Can I cut in for a quick second? Albert, am I done?
Sorry, Steve. Yes, you're done. Thank you for calling in.
All right, thank you for calling.
You can
I appreciate it. Thanks.
You can stay and hear our case if you want.
That's okay.
Thank you.
Thanks
Steve.
again.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.
The location map, this is the subject parcel right here. That's the 5 acres. Of course, you can see the Rio Grande to the north of it. That's the old highway that goes from Hatch up to Salem and Garfield. When we look at the aerial photo of a close-up, it's basically, there is an existing warehouse there, but the property pretty much, it's still, just being used as ag. That's BB Romick, which is a county maintained road, and on the back, it's basically bordered by an EBID ditch. When we look at the zoning map, basically everything around it is T2. We see the Rio Grande River. This gray area right here is part of the city limits of Hatch. That's where the airport's located. But everything around it is pretty much T2. Now it might be, on the map, it looks like everything is just ag. But I'll go into right now some of the agricultural uses that are out there. We do have some chili processing plants that are there. Right here on that one that's identified as I2, that's vegetable products that are basically a chili processing plant. On a description of the property, before the UDC got adopted, it was still a performance district type of zoning. Once the UDC got adopted, then that's when it got that T2 designation. Right now, it is being currently assessed as ag. An interesting fact from that little warehouse that's there, it's about a little bit less than 6,000 square feet right now. Back in 1995, they did receive approval of a non-residential application for the incubation of ostrich eggs. Of course, that business is no longer there. It hasn't been there for quite some time. But at least back then, out of that warehouse, they were having a non-residential use. Access to the property will be through BB Romig, which is county paved and maintained. So right here, this was included in your packet as well, but it's basically a summary of what's being proposed for the property. The applicant's basically stating that they're consolidating two existing nutrient ag facilities into one. I'll show you in the area right now, but they do have a packaging and warehouse facility, which is right up the road, less than a quarter mile from this location. So they're basically stating that they're going to close that facility and move into this one here that's being proposed for the zone change. The improvements that are being proposed include a load pad, fertilizer dike, office, dry fertilizer storage, shed, and other warehouse improvements. The new sales office, it's going to be about 1,472 square feet, and that's going to be their sales offices, and it's going to be a one-story wood frame building. They're going to have a dry shed storage area, which will be a 300-ton, 2,925 square foot standalone, three-sided lean-to shelter. That's going to house the bins for the storage of the dry fertilizer products. So the building is intended for storage of fertilizer and is unoccupied space. And also will be a one-story, three-sided structure. Exterior concrete pads are proposed for the blending equipment. When we look at the conceptual site plan of what the facility is going to look like, we see BB Romig right here on the north side. That's the existing warehouse that's been there since at least 1996. We do have the containment dikes. And then the load pad right here. There's just going to be the new dry fertilizer building, and that's the location of the new office building for sales. When we look at the land use aerial, so when we're zooming out a little bit from the subject parcel, their existing facility right now is going to be that property right here, which is just right up the road. We see that there's an EBID ditch buffering the southern property line. That structure right there, that's the Young Guns chili production facility that's there. When we look at the zoning map, it still comes out as a T2 because they've just been there forever. But technically, it should have some type of industrial zoning. But they've been there for so many years that they're basically grandfathered in. You can't quite see it from here, but where the highway kind of crosses that EBID ditch right there, there's another chili production facility. One business that I forgot to mention, I just couldn't remember until I actually drove out there. This property right here, they're assessed as ag, but currently they're building a facility as well for cannabis production. So it's a cannabis production facility. I don't quite remember what the name was. I'm sure Sean knows what the business was, but they're right up the road right here. And I'll show you some pictures of how that facility is.
What's the zoning on that?
It's T2, but they do have that ag assessment.
Okay.
So that's basically all they needed was just to submit for a building permit.
And are there any structures there, or do you have any?
I'll show you some pictures. They're just building the structure right now. So currently, that's what's on site. You know, they have that's the existing warehouse that was approved back in the 1996. So that's what they have on the subject parcel right now. You can see that that they propped up a notification sign here as well. And then when we're looking at the property from one of the corners, that's what what the full property basically looks like. You have the warehouse, you got some parking in the back, and then the rest of it is basically farmland. When we're looking at the property looking east, that's what what BB Romick Drive looks like. And here we're looking west, up the road around on that structure right here. That's where they have their current operations. When we're looking right directly north, across the BB Romick, that's the Young Guns facility right here. It's a pretty big facility that they have out there. That's their existing facility right now for Nutrien. And on the back, you can see that they got some warehouses where they do a lot of their storage. And Commissioner Montañez, that's the facility that's right now it's being constructed for cannabis production.
It looks the square footage looks about the same as the subject property. And what about the lot size?
I don't quite remember what the lot size is, but just by looking at the, actually, I think I might have better. I think it's in the next couple of slides, but about a mile away, you also have vegetable products. This facility right here, they also do chili processing.
And I'm sorry, that's a T2?
That's an I2. And they did get a zone change a couple of years ago. Let me go back to that aerial, see if we can compare lot sizes. So it's a little bit bigger. So this one's just 5 acres. This one's going to be a little bit bigger. I think it was about 10 acres.
Was that updated in the zoning map? I don't know why I didn't see any other eyes in the.
No, it's not going to have an eye, but like I said it before, for that property, it is something that's allowed by right because of that ag designation.
Okay.
So they don't really need to apply for a special use permit or a zone change as long as they have that ag designation right now. They were able to just submit a building permit and meet the building code.
So, Albert, I'm sorry, could the subject parcel, could they do the same thing? Do they need the I-3?
They do need the I-3, and I'll talk about that a little bit more right now under our staff findings. That vegetable products facility, that's this one right here. That's currently zoned I2. So that's up here, and that's if you draw a straight line, it's about a mile away.
Okay.
And then here, where it's T2 as well, that's where the Young Guns chili processing plant is at. We saw the pictures. 13 letters were sent out as part of the notification requirements. The signs were posted. Everything was posted on the Sun News, and really there was no opposition to the request. I didn't receive phone calls or anything in writing. We already saw the sign that were posted out there. This is the subject parcel property here, number 9. That's where they're doing that cannabis production facility right here. And here you see a better view of that Young Guns processing facility right here. So no homes are being proposed. We don't anticipate any impact to the population or demographics. Traffic as well is going to be minimal. The applicant stated that they're going to have about 2 people employed on site. And they still need an approval of a driveway permit from county engineering. So this project, like I said before, they're basically consolidating 2 existing nutrient facilities. The Ag Solutions currently operates an agricultural packaging and warehouse facility, and that's the one that we saw a little bit up the road here. This facility will be closed and all operations will be moved to 1025 PB Romick Drive, which is the subject parcel. We did have a review from the Office of State Engineer. They stated that they had no comments. They're going to be using an existing water well for water, and wastewater will be handled through septic tanks. We don't think there's going to be any major impact to existing infrastructure capacities. There's no evidence submitted that there are any endangered or rare species of animal and plant life in the area. The applicant themselves, they did send a request to the New Mexico Historic Preservation Division, on their end, just so they can do a review of the property. And their comments was that, their reply was that there were no known historic properties within the project area. But then, of course, if during construction they were to find something to contact their office. We don't believe that there's going to be any significant impact to surrounding properties. The property is surrounded by agricultural land. There are existing industrial uses that cater to the agricultural community in proximity to the subject parcel. We saw Young Guns Produce. It's located about, it's a little bit more than 1,000 feet to the north of the subject parcel. You have the Vegetable Products Green Chili Processing Plant located less than a mile to the northeast. That's the type right there, northeast of the subject parcel. And then surrounding properties there, they're all assessed as ag. Currently, right now, if you got that T2 zone, you're assessed as ag, you're able to conduct packaging and warehousing and processing for on-farms operations only. The property is buffered by the Hatch Main Canal on the rear of the property. And then, of course, best management practices will be implemented as identified, noted, and included in the reviews and conditions required for the zone change and during the building permitting process if the zone change is approved. So we do believe that the applicant meets that decisional criteria for zone changes. When it comes to being in conflict with the comprehensive plan, we don't believe that it's in any significant conflict. There's goals already outlined in the code, basically supporting the ag community, agricultural production, and supporting regional small-scale businesses as well. When it comes to Miller or identifying any errors in the code, currently the only use right now allowing for a fertilizer plant. So we're looking at the whole proposal, all together. They're not just packaging, they're not just warehousing. It's the fertilizer plant that's triggering the zone change request. When we look at the land use matrix, it's only allowed in I3. That's the only land use category where you can have a fertilizer plant. So the UDC does not have an option for a special use permit for the requested use. We do believe that the zone change is appropriate as there is compatible existing agricultural processing facilities, and it's reasonably necessary to protect the public interest and enhancing support to the surrounding agricultural community. For our findings, they're included in your packet. We do believe that the request for I3 satisfies the decisional criteria for zone change as it is appropriate and reasonably necessary to protect the public interest. We know that they don't have an option to apply for a special use permit, even though they're assessed as ag. The only land use category allowing for a fertilizer plant is that I3 designation. There are compatible existing agricultural processing facilities nearby. We don't believe that there's going to be any significant impact to surrounding properties. I've already outlined how the property currently is assessed as ag, that there are other agricultural industrial uses nearby. The I-3 will not be considered spot zoning as the proposed zone change is in harmony with surrounding areas. The size of the development is appropriate for the area, and there will be a benefit to the community by supporting agricultural production and supporting small businesses. We also don't believe that the request is in significant conflict with the comprehensive plan, and it does meet, those following goals and actions of the county comprehensive plan. So, based on on the findings of fact, our analysis and agency comments, we are recommending approval of this case of Z-23008 to go from a T2 to an I3 for agricultural packaging, warehousing, which are currently allowed for on-farm operations, and for the fertilizer plant that, basically that's what's triggering the zone change to the I3. We do have a representative from the applicant here, and we stand for questions. Yeah, I think your microphone might be off, but yes.
Okay. There's no requirement for security for that area with regarding the chemicals that are there?
To my knowledge, no. I mean, it's not similar to cannabis, where the state requires them to fence in the property for security purposes. But I can have the applicant address that to see what they're planning for security purposes.
All right. Any questions of staff, commissioners? Yes.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, staff, can you explain, I'm at a disadvantage not having the definition for heavy industrial. Can you explain the limitations on heavy industrial for me, please?
I'll go ahead and just read straight out what the definition of I3 is. So a heavy industrial use is basically manufacturing or other enterprises that pose significant risks due to the use or storage of explosives or radioactive materials or of poisons, herbicides, or other hazardous materials in reportable quantities under the standards of the Environmental Protection Agency.
So the reason for classifying that way is because of the storage only of materials that are going to be on site, not necessarily the manufacturing of things, because as I see it, it's only storage.
Yes, I mean, based on, the applicant's statement and narrative, there is going to be storage of fertilizer out there, and I'm sure there's a lot of chemicals there as well that would, bump up the requested use to this I3 designation.
Okay, thank you very much.
But for specific processes and, how the facility is actually going to operate, I think Mr. Recosta here can probably just give us a breakdown of how they're going to be out there.
That answered my question. Thank you.
Any further questions of staff, commissioners? Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Oh, go ahead.
Albert, how do we get around the spot zone issue?
That was a question that I was kind of struggling myself with as well. I know when we look at the zoning map, it's just a sea of green out there. There's that one I2 spot that's less than a mile away. But when I was looking at that specific criteria, I had to look at what's existing out there. What are the uses that are there that are currently serving the agricultural community? Young Guns, was the first one that stuck out. They've been out there since probably the 90s or 80s out there, and they're in industrial use. If they were to come in right now, they might be able to get to do something like that. With a special use permit, because they're basically surrounded by their own chili fields. So they're processing all of their product there. The recent one was that cannabis one, you know, it is an industrial use, but they're able to do it because of that ag designation that they have there.
So you're saying because of that ag assessment, there are industrial type uses?
That could go anywhere on any one of those T2 properties.
Yeah, yeah. What about fumes from fertilizer production?
But I can let the applicant address that.
Okay.
Any further questions, commissioners or staff? Okay, thank you, Albert. And Mr. Acosta, would you like to come forward? We're gonna have to swear you in.
Good morning.
Good morning. Please state your name and address for the record and raise your right hand.
Fred Acosta, Nutrient Ag Solutions, 8601 Highway 478 in Vado, New Mexico.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth under penalty of law?
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
And one of the questions that was asked by Commissioner Underwood, the storage, you don't manufacture there.
No, sir, we do
It's
not
just
manufacture.
storage only,
Yes.
storage only. So it's a commercial fertilizer. And if you have anything to say for us, you're welcome to do so.
You know, all we're basically trying to do is consolidate, you know, when we bought that place, it was a house that they turned into an office, and then, you know, we're storing the fertilizer on the old property. All we were trying to do is basically just consolidate into one place, and, you know, work out of that. And then, you know, basically we're trying to reduce our carbon footprint. This is one of the ways it was put to me. Just trying to consolidate what we're doing.
And how long have you been in business doing storage of fertilizers?
That place has been there, we took over, we bought that place, if I'm not mistaken, 10, 12 years ago. And it was a mom and pop fertilizer place that was there. I'm not sure about the warehouses that was down the street, but when we bought that place, it was that place and this place. And like I said, the offices are over here and the warehouse is over here. Like I said, all we're trying to do is get everything into one place.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions of Mr. Acosta? Okay, well, thank you very much, Mr. Acosta, for your comments.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Anybody in the audience that would like to comment for or against the zone change? There's nobody out there? Okay, we're going to close it to the gallery. Commissioners, the chair entertains a motion.
Entertaining motions, Chair?
Are you ready to place a motion for us?
I'm ready to make a motion, yes. I had trouble hearing you, that's what I was asking. We're ready for motions, Chair?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Make a motion that we approve case Z23008. A motion to, from zone change from a T2 to a I3.
I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor, and it's been seconded. All those in favor signify by correction. Any discussion on the motions?
They can't do this under an I-2?
No, that's the only zoning category that allows for a fertilizer plant.
And how do you get around the Miller criteria?
Well, like I said it in my presentation, let me go back to it.
Really, Albert. 5C, a benefit to the community. see a benefit to the community.
So when we're talking about the Miller criteria, so the fundamental justification for an amendatory or repealing zoning ordinance is a change of conditions, making the amendment or repeal reasonably necessary to protect the public interest. Also, if there's, to cover and perfect previous effective ordinances. So we're basically saying that because they don't really have any other option, to apply for or to be able to obtain a land use for a fertilizer plant other than the I-3, we can see that as maybe, having a defective ordinance because there are other multiple industrial uses that would be allowed by right just by having that ag assessment on there. That might be, that might have the same effect, that might have the same impact as a fertilizer plant or even more. Change of conditions, like I said it before, we just, signed off on a building permit, 2 properties, down the road to the east of it. And even though they didn't require a zone change, they're basically going, from a residential use, from an ag use to an industrial use.
And that's the cannabis production.
And that's the
facility.
cannabis production facility. I don't remember how long ago that zone change for the vegetable products was, but it had to be like in the early 2000s as well.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
All right. Just, again, the motion has been made, and there's a second. Discussion has been made. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I guess just to, just for a point of discussion, I mean, going back to the cannabis facility and some of the others, if they were not, if they were not assessed agriculture, there are some pretty big structures there, and I mean, they would have required an I-3 zone change. I share the concern with you on the spot zoning discussion and the spot zoning concern, and so I do I definitely want to commend Albert and staff for really just kind of pointing out what's out there that is not in the zoning map due to the ag designation. That's for what's operating out there already. I just wanted to bring that up again. Thank you.
So, I'll wait. Go ahead.
Okay. And on the spot zone change, it has to meet certain criteria, and I'm not too sure that this is applicable for that. Okay. Any further discussion on the motion? Does everybody understand the motion? All right. Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Underwood,
Yes.
Commissioner Montañez,
Yes.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes.
Commissioner Castañeda,
Yes.
Vice Chair Zerniak,
No.
Chair Acosta.
Yes. Okay. And do you have any further questions, Mr. Acosta? Before you leave, ask Albert. Thank you so much. Okay, Dr. Zerniak.
It was approved.
Concern.
Well, I'm concerned about the spot zone issue still. I'm not sure the Miller criteria is satisfied, but that's my personal opinion.
I'm not asking any answer on your no vote.
Oh,
So I didn't request that. You don't have to give it to us, okay?
okay.
We'll do further discussions on the work session. Is that okay?
Yep.
All right. Okay. Okay, let's see. Administrative approvals, Janine.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners.
Good morning.
So the map before you shows the permits that we issued for the month of April, and there were 15 brand-new single-family residential dwellings that are mapped. And then in addition to that, there were 20 additions to single-family residential. And then we also had two commercial, one brand-new commercial building that was permitted, and then there were two additions to commercials that are not mapped. And then we also issued a total of 18 mobile home installation permits. 15 of those were on private property, and 16 were on private property, and 2 were in mobile home parks. So for the month of April, our permit fees total that we brought in were approximately $64,000, and the valuation was close to $10 million.
And Avenida de Ascensión, what is that? C2?
It's a warehouse. That's I believe that's I-2, and that's in the industrial park.
Oh.
In Crua.
Okay.
So that green area is Crua.
And what was the total amount?
Almost 10 million for the valuation, and we brought in almost 64,000 permit fees.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, Janine, do you know if in Santa Teresa there's a lot of zone change activity?
No, we really don't have very much zone change. Mostly everything is zoned I-2, so they're fairly accommodated.
Okay.
And we are getting a lot of growth down there too, a lot of building permits.
And that's I-2 under Crua zoning.
That's correct.
And how different is that from the UDC? Or is
It's not very different at all.
Okay.
Yeah. Correct.
In most of the industrial park and all that area, and then closer towards the border, where we have the parks, they're all zoned CI2. We did a lot of zone changes back in the day to kind of expand on that CI2 zoning designation. So a lot of the stuff that we get down there is just basically already allowed. And all they have to do is just get a building permit.
Okay.
And what's the status on with Crua? And have they worked out a deal with the county?
I believe it's still under discussions. We're
Still
still
under
working on that,
discussion?
yes.
Okay. And by the way, Sean, thank you very much for attending. And when you have any questions or things that really are kind of perplexing for you on construction or whatever, just jump in, okay? And you want to say something, just go ahead. Thank you so much. Okay, item number 8. Staff input. Sorry. Nothing?
No staff input. Mr.
Chair, I just have one. Chair, we do have the meeting on June 8th, so we will have another meeting in 2 weeks. And then one more thing, we know that Mr. Victor Acosta passed away. I've known him since ever I started working here. He was a voice for the people down in Berino and Chamberino, and he was really a good person to work with. So if anybody's interested, today public visitation will be at 5 o'clock at Baca's Funeral Chapel, and the evening service will be at 6 p.m. So, Mr. Victor Acosta.
Who was it? Oh, okay. I'm having a hard time hearing.
It's your cousin.
It comes with age.
Victor's services are tonight, and the burial is tomorrow morning.
Yes,
In Anthony, he'll be buried,
yes.
or intern. I'm not sure.
And we just had another death in the family, another cousin. She just passed away yesterday. Okay. Commission input?
Mr. Chair, I just want to, I'd just like the commission to note that I will unfortunately not be present in the June 8th meeting. I don't enjoy missing meetings, but that one I will be in Washington, D.C. So I will see you after that meeting.
You're going to be politicking, right?
A little bit. So if anybody wants a T-shirt or gift shop item, just write me a note.
So we have a commissioner's going to be politicking in Washington, D.C. Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'd like the commission also to know that I will be probably remote participating during the month of June for the 2 meetings in an attempt to relocate back to New Mexico.
Okay, thank you for advising us of that. Well, anyway, Commissioner Montanez, make sure that you remember us over here, okay? All right,
I'm pretty sure I'll just be seeing the same people from Las Cruces.
all
so.
right. All right, thank you. All right, item number 9. The chair entertains a motion for adjourn. Okay, so moved. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you very much, staff.